5 people who survived your worst nightmares. Number 5. Truman Duncan. Survivor of being run over by a train. Railroad switchman Truman Duncan fell off the front of a moving train car. He was swept underneath and cut in two. Despite losing both legs and a kidney, Duncan called the paramedics on his cell phone, survived a 45-minute wait, and then persevered through 23 surgeries in a 4-month span. Truman lost his legs, pelvis, and a kidney. Today, Truman is back to work at a desk job. Number 4. Jake Finkbonner. Survivor of the flesh-eating bacterial infection. In February 2006, Jake was playing a game of basketball and ended up splitting his lip on the base of the basketball hoop. This would have been just a fat lip, but the base of the basketball hoop held a deadly Strep A bacteria. Within a couple of days, the doctors were letting Jake's parents know that he was probably gonna die. Jake's family, being Catholic, had last rites administered and asked for friends and family to pray to Blessed Kateri Tekakwitha, a Mohawk Indian who converted to Catholicism. Jake is half Lumi Indian. Unbelievably, the infection slowed, and then stopped. It has taken countless skin grafts and other surgical procedures to restore Jake's face, but flesh-eating bacterial infections is not something that ordinarily just subsides, unless the patient is dead. Many patients die within 24 hours of a diagnosis. Jake's 2006 cure from the infection was deemed medically inexplicable by the Vatican. The miracle needed to propel a 17th century Native American, Kateri Tekakwitha, onto sainthood. Number 3. Holly Dunn, sole survivor of the railway killer. When Holly Dunn and her boyfriend Chris Mayer were approached by a strange-looking man asking for money late on the night of August 29, 1997, they were a little spooked, and then they had every reason to be. The man's name was Angel Resendez, and at the time he had already killed 6 people and would go on to kill many more. Angel threatened the couple with an ice pick and got both Holly and Chris tied up and tucked them in a ditch. Angel was spooked and repeatedly checked to make sure he was not seen. He returned to murder Chris with a 50-pound rock on the head. Holly was then raped, stabbed in the neck with the ice pick, and then beaten to near death, and she passed out. Lacking vitals, the railway killer left the scene. When Holly awoke, her attacker was gone. Holly then dragged herself to the nearest house and was taken to the hospital for severe injuries. She was able to make a recovery and testify against Angel in court, where he would be sentenced to death. Angel Resendez killed at least 15 people in his 13 years of terror, and Holly was the lone survivor. Angel was put to death in 2006. Number 2. Eugene Han and Kristen Davis, survivor of being shot. July 2012, Aurora, Colorado. Kristen Davis and Eugene Han went out to watch a movie just after Eugene got off of work after a 12-hour shift. Eugene, being utterly exhausted, passed out during the opening credits. As he woke, James Holmes entered through the exit door of the theater. 10 feet away, Eugene saw the outline of his gun against the movie screen and knew trouble was ahead. He watched as bullets sprayed about. He says he saw pieces of flesh fly, and then he took one in the hip and another in the knee. After a few minutes, he heard a click and knew Holmes was out of ammunition. As Holmes was reloading, the couple ran out the exit door, locking eyes with the killer on the way out. 12 people died in the shooting and 70 people were injured. James Holmes, as of the release of this video, is still in his trial stages in court. Number 1. Vesna Vulovic, survivor of falling from an extreme height and terrorist attack. January 26, 1972. On January 26, 1972, a Yugoslav Airlines DC-9 departed from Copenhagen for Belgrade via Zagreb with 28 passengers and crew. At an altitude of 33,000 feet, a bomb in the cargo section planted by the Ustashi Croatian separatist group exploded. The plane disintegrated and crashed on the mountains. In what must be one of the greatest survival stories of all time, stewardess Vesna Vulovic survived the 33,000-foot descent sitting on the tail of the plane. She ended up with a fractured skull, 2 broken legs, and 3 broken vertebrae, one of which was crushed and left her paralyzed from the waist down. Vulovic spent several months in and out of hospitals. Operations allowed her to walk again. She became a celebrity when the Guinness Book of World Records invited her to a ceremony in London with Paul McCartney. She is listed for surviving the longest fall without a parachute.